So the title of this video is You Don't Want to Make Gaming Content. And that probably shocked you to hear me say, since I'm a gaming YouTuber, right? But the reality is, this video isn't what you think it's going to be. It's not about editing footage, editing audio, making catchy titles, or making thumbnails for people to click on. It's actually about the decisions that you make within yourself before you get started, because they're going to come to a head at different times in your life. And that's when the reality of if you want to do this or not comes into play. So I'm known for putting out a high volume of content, and I've been doing that 6 years consistently as I started the channel in 2019. It's 2025, and we're closing in on 20,000 subscribers. So some people would say I'm not getting the highest return on my investment. But the truth is, I do this just because I love it. The numbers have never really dictated how I felt about my channel, and that's actually kind of like a defense mechanism or like shielded armor for me. Because I have a lot of friends who started in the past too, and they take breaks, they step away, they get burnt out, and they'll reach out to me in private and say, hey yo Lou, how do you keep going? Because like, I don't feel like that this is moving fast enough for me. I'm not making enough money from it. I'm not getting enough views. How do you keep going? And it's funny because I run into some of those same obstacles, but the difference between me and them is that I never even considered quitting. You've never heard me talk about being burnt out. You've never heard me talk about being frustrated. You never heard me talk about that I'm not getting enough views or that I'm not making enough money. Even when these social media platforms kind of screw you over and kind of play around with your income and things of that nature, I never talk about quitting. And I guess it's because for me, this is just like a journey or passion that I'm following, right? But that comes at a cost, and that's what this video is about. So through creating videos, you develop a reputation online of who you are, right? They say that the fastest way to build trust in video marketing is by creating videos, because people get a sense of who you are as far as your character goes and what your demeanor is, right? I know this because I work in social media marketing. The same skills I use for this channel are the same skills I use in my corporate life, right? But the truth is, there are things that are happening off camera that kind of affect who you are on camera every single day. This could be friendships, financial, family, relationships and heartbreak, mental health concerns, different things you could be going through that affect who you are on the camera. Because in my scenario, I'm still expected to show up on camera and be Lou Streets every single day, right? And that's not just creating videos, but that's for streaming as well. People interacting with you live in real time. You're still expected to be you, but sometimes you don't feel like yourself. This is where most people burn out. When I mentioned those friends earlier who talked about they're not getting enough views or this doesn't seem worth it, while granted some of that could be based on performance, another part of that is that they're just having things happen in their real life, and this feels like a step that they can just walk away from. I don't have that luxury, or even if I did have that luxury, I've already made the decision that I'm never going to do that because this is important to me. This is my passion, right? So then it becomes a matter of, what are your trade-offs? What are your risks versus reward? What are you sacrificing in regards to what you create versus how you feel? So since this channel has started, I've been broke multiple times and I've been stacked up multiple times. Right now, I'm in an incredible position. I'm making the most money I've ever made, and I have the most amount of money saved that I've ever had saved in my life. So I'm in a great position, right? So that's one thing. Since this channel has started, I've been through 2 really huge breakups. One of them was a little bit harder than the other one. The first one, I kind of got betrayed by somebody I wouldn't anticipate. So it was like, that hurts, but you charge it to the game and you realize you still have many opportunities in front of you. The second relationship was a really good relationship and it was very healthy. So the breakup kind of caught me off guard. And when that happened, I just had to go through that shit in real time while creating, while being completely lost, like in that scenario, still communicating with that person, still trying to figure things out, things being frustrating. But the whole time that I'm going through that, I'm still creating. As a matter of fact, I think the day it happened, I even streamed that night at like 2 or 3 in the morning and kind of talked to my viewers about it. But the reality is, I don't like to bring my personal life into my content. I've never been the type of person that shares a bunch of pictures of my partner or like my family, or I don't really want people to know what's going on in my personal life because I like to create and I like to be consistent. And when people know your personal life, if you get to a certain size, they can use those things against you. So I never ever been that way. But at the same time, while I'm going through that, I'm still expected to be me on camera, still expected to be consistent. And this is the tricky part, right? This is the part that nobody really talks about. Let's say that you tell your audience that you're going through something and you need a break. If you're really, really massive, you can afford to do that because when you come back, they'll still be there. But let's say if you're in a position like I am, where you have an audience, but you're not like life-altering large, but you do have a nice audience. We got close to 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. I got 53,000 on TikTok, 18,000 on Facebook, 2,400 on Twitter, and like 1,400 on Twitch, right? So I'm not large by any stretch of the imagination, but enough people support me to kind of mess with my content. But let's say that I have one of those moments where I'm going through something and I take a long break because I need some time for me, which I never do anyway. But let's just say if I did that. The tricky part about doing something like that is you're potentially hurting the life of your channel. Let's say you take that break and you can't bounce back. That's why a lot of times when you see streamers panic about getting their channel axed or demonetized or suspended or terminated, they freak out because it takes so much work to build this stuff up that if you was to lose it or even just lose momentum, who's to say you can make it back? So when you're going through something in real life like I was, you need to know the answer to these questions already, because that's what's gonna keep you going when you hit those roadblocks. Like, imagine if I just decided to take a long break. It's almost like betraying your audience or breaking their trust. And the irony is that it was times when people would see my videos and be like, yo, Lou, I just broke up with my girl. I'm so glad that you uploaded because, you know, this gives me something else to focus on. The irony of them saying that is I'm going through a breakup myself and making the video through the breakup. But I'm not talking about it because even though it's at the front of my mind, I can't solve it because I can't communicate with that person. And it doesn't make sense to for two reasons. The first reason being that nobody gives a fuck, bro. Like, everybody has their own problems. They're going through their own shit. As the guy said, who said that he loves my videos because they help him think about something else, but he can't care about my problems because he's going through his own. And then secondly, the channel wasn't built on that niche anyway. Like, people are coming here for your gameplay and your commentary and your sense of humor and your upbeat energy. So even if you got something else at the front of your mind, you can't display that energy on camera because it doesn't make sense to who people expect you to be. And I'm not saying that as if I'm playing a character on camera, but at the same time, this is who I really am. But when you got something else in your mind, your energy is gonna kind of convey that, and you don't wanna do that to your audience because you'll be breaking their trust, and that doesn't really make sense to do, to pretty much have long-term negativity with something that you have a passion about due to temporary emotions, right? Or, you know, let's take it off relationships. Let's just move to money. Let's move to finance. Sometimes you could be making content and decide that you're not making enough money with your content or just in general, and you pick up a new job. Some people may forego a relationship and they'll work their 8-hour job, come home and just focus on content for 4 or 5 hours, wash, rinse, repeat. Or somebody like me, I work in social media marketing. So all of my skills that I have on this channel, they're transferable to the corporate world. So I always make it a point to have a remote job. That way I can still make my paper and stack up, but at the same time make content because I'm at home, so I can balance both of them. But sometimes a remote job isn't always available. Sometimes you get laid off. Like, it's been scenarios where my money been tight and I've been trying to figure things out. I've been trying to make things happen with job applications. I've been making things happen in freelance, and I'm still uploading videos, but like, time is ticking on me finding a really reliable source of income to stack up and go forward in life, while at the same time I'm putting out stuff. And so the tricky part is, like, I could stop making videos and focus on the corporate stuff more. Lucky enough, I've been blessed to be in a position where it all worked out for me. But like, let's say that if I just stopped making content in that time, now I'm betraying the trust of my audience again. So it's like, these are the questions or scenarios you kind of have to have mapped out in your mind before you start, because what you don't want to do is have a passion about something and start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. Because if you do that, at some point you're going to just completely quit, right? But at the same time, you don't want to make it where like your mental health is declining based on real life shit because you can't figure out the balance. And I think this is what happens to like a lot of the people that reach out to me and ask, yo, Lou, how do you keep going? I think it's as simple as they don't ask themselves these questions before they start. I didn't really ask myself this question out loud or internally before I started. I think it's just kind of how I'm wired. Like, if I love something and I have a passion for something, I'm gonna find a way to just keep going, regardless of the breakups, regardless of the finance, regardless of what's going on with family. I'm gonna find time to make content because making content makes me feel like me. You know what I'm saying? I have other hobbies as well. I used to play sports, so I'm still heavy in the gym. I'm still active with different hobbies of that nature. But when it's all said and done, making content like really makes me feel good, so I always make space for it. And I think that the question a lot of you guys have to ask yourselves, if this is what you want to do, is if I want to do it bad enough, am I going to want to do it when it's not necessarily fun? You know, like when I'm not getting any views, when I'm starting off and I can't really get any subscribers, when I want to reach out for collabs but nobody ever responds, when I make this really cool video that I thought I had an idea for and it gets 13 views, am I going to stop then? When I need to make more money, am I going to completely neglect my channel just to focus on money? When I'm going through a breakup with my girlfriend, am I going to focus on the relationship so much or be so deep into heartbreak that I just don't make a video for 3 to 6 months? I mean, like, the whole time that those things were going on, I was still creating content. In reality, you guys would never know any of this if I didn't share it with you right now. In fact, I almost feel uncomfortable making this video because since I don't share anything about my personal life, it's kind of weird to divulge this information. But at the same time, I've had so many people reach out to me and be like, yo, Lou, I'm so proud of you. You know, you've been doing this for such a long time. You know, I wish you the best and I hope that you keep grinding and it keeps going. But the thing is, they just don't know what you're enduring off camera. You know, even like if we just step away from those two things I talked about, when people reach out to me to ask me questions in my inbox when I'm going through that breakup or when my money fucked up or I'm trying to figure out how to make a play and make something happen, in those times, you're still expected to be who you are to your audience and your community that you've built, right? So in those moments, I'm still expected to be Lou Streets on camera, Mr. Upbeat, Mr. Respond. Like imagine if you reach out to me and I'm not going through a breakup and my money's all the way stacked up and you reach out to me for some information. I'm known for helping people with tons of information when they ask about things, right? But imagine that you reach out to me and instead all those things are going opposite. Do you think that I want to talk? And it's not your fault because you don't know this. I'm not going to share this with you, but it's like, it's not your fault. But do you think that I want to talk in that moment? So now I'm faced with the decision of either talking in that moment so you don't feel neglected, or thinking that I'm changing or I'm acting funny or acting Hollywood, or I can talk to you, but now I'm kind of draining my mental health because of the fact that I'm overextending myself when I don't feel the best, right? And that's why it's very important to know who you are before these scenarios arise in your life, because they're coming. Like, this can be applicable to any part of life, but it's different when it comes to content. Like, let's say that you have a normal job and you're just working there and you're going through these same obstacles that I'm talking about with like finance, girlfriend, family, relationship, all these things that's kind of like messing up your mood. Outside of the people that you see at work in real life, you can kind of remove yourself and seclude yourself. But when you're making content, you're expected to be on camera. You're extending your energy out into the world. You're expected to answer that DM. You're expected to respond to those comments. I'm not saying it's like you a celebrity or any stretch of the imagination, but however, there are people that are looking to have community with you, and you need to know who you are before these scenarios come, because they're coming. Like, I think the difference between me and most people is just that I have my mind made up about my passion and what I want to do. And I think that the people that make it through, they have that same identity or like that same trademark. They kind of know that they're going to keep going no matter what. So when I say you don't want to make content, I'm not saying you don't want to make content because it's not enjoyable. I'm saying you don't know if you want to make content until you can endure these types of things. And the way that you would endure these things best is to know the answer to the question before they arise. Because the truth is, it's going to happen. And when it does happen, once you have a community, you have to kind of foster that community. And if you're just neglecting it or taking long breaks because you're going through something personally and you don't want to share, you don't want to communicate that, or even if you do communicate it but you disappear for 6 months, guess what? There's always somebody new. There's somebody younger than you that has the ability to make content all day. They don't have bills to pay. They don't have a job to go to. There's somebody who speaks better than you on camera. There's somebody with a better backdrop than you. There's somebody who's better at the game than you are. There's somebody who's more charismatic on camera than you are. There is always a new creator. So therefore, whatever your spot is that you solidify, you got to stay in that lane and just push. And I'm not saying this as if this video is like one of those fake motivational, you got to grind and keep chopping at the tree. It's not one of those, but it is to say that you don't want to make content so you know the answer to this question. And for whatever reason, I guess I answered this question internally a long time ago. So no matter what I go through, content will always be made. It would almost have to be physically impossible for me to make content, for me to take a real break. And I wanted to make this video because I've had so many people reach out to me and say like that they're proud of me for keeping going. And these are like smaller creators, because like I started in a Facebook group with other creators and we all kind of was doing our thing and like playing Mortal Kombat back in the day, back in like 2018, 2019, but I just kind of kept pushing, so I've grown somewhat. And because YouTube is such a hard platform to grow on, people show me a lot of love because of the fact that I'm still pushing. But the reality is like, I'm sure they've been through similar scenarios as they've mentioned to me before, but every time I've been through a scenario like this, I've never stopped the content. And so the main takeaway from this video that I want you to understand, this video is not about you don't want to make content, it's that you don't want to make content unless you know the answer to this question, because it's the only way that you're gonna keep going. I hope this video isn't too long. I want to wrap it up, but I just felt like get that message off my chest because that breakup really rocked me last year, bro. Like it really rocked me, and I kept making content the whole time. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro. I'm just now starting to heal from that shit. Like if I'm just being dead real, I'm just now starting to get to a point where it's like it's not on my mind. But the whole time I was making content, and that's when it kind of hit me when people would ask questions about how you keep going. I'm like, I just don't stop because this question is already answered in my mind. Regardless of how it feels, I just don't stop. So overall, I'm gonna wrap this video up. But no, I'm not saying you don't want to make content. I'm simply saying know the answer to this question before you do. Till next time, it's your boy Lou Streets. I am out. Peace.